No one knew that Bong Jae-hyuk's life was about to turn upside down in a dark alley, with his only companion being a cup of ramen. He can hardly imagine the power that was about to awaken. A simple notification on the system screen and, suddenly, everything changes. The unbearable debt and the exhausting routine become mere background noise to something much greater. With his heart in his mouth, Jae-hyuk prepares to activate the ability that could pull his life out of monotony. He hesitates. And as he conjures a blinding light, it floods his room. What will emerge from this light? The secrets of his new life are about to be revealed. Hello, I am Sim, and welcome to the Better Anime channel. Go ahead and smash that like button and share this video. And without further ado, let's get into the video. At the beginning of the story, a guy is walking through a pretty dingy and narrow alley. The vibe of the place is terrible, and he knows it as he walks steadily in a single direction. In his mind, it's all described as a loud and dirty district that never changes. Amid all this chaos, he has a tiny little house on the rooftop that's only 16 square meters. In the blink of an eye, he's already standing at his doorstep. He pulls the cup of ramen from his bag and stares at it. The expression on his face says it all. You can tell he's been living off ramen for days and days. This guy's name is Bong Jae-hyuk. He's 25 years old and identifies himself as unemployed. But don't be fooled. He hustles at 3 part-time jobs just to survive. His first job is at a convenience store, the second is at a barbecue restaurant, and the third is as a daily laborer, a real house cleaner, working his fingers to the bone. He can never manage to save up any money. The reason for this is a brutal debt that is constantly weighing down on him, a debt that he can only tackle if he pays it off. The scene shifts to him at home, cooking ramen and slowly gulping it down. Suddenly, notification appears on the system screen. The notification says Bong Jae-hyuk has awakened. He is so surprised that he forgets to blow on the ramen. Burnt mouth and intense pain in the throat. When Dora saw him a little, he began to analyze the system window, a mixture of disbelief in his gaze. Jae-young thought that this awakening could be some kind of blessing. He also pondered that perhaps he had unlocked some absurd prize that could bring in some money, but that idea soon darkened in his heart. He imagined the possibility that this could be a big setup. Look at that. Our boy pictured himself being ripped apart by a monster or dying, frozen, crushed, burned alive. He thought he could end up poisoned and kicking the bucket in minutes. Jae-young also considered the idea of being crushed. It's a kind of trap. The narrative then goes deeper into Jae-young's life. He always tries to ignore injustices, even when they're so blatant. He keeps making excuses to look away. It's just that he never had the courage to face what's wrong. The guy lived crawling, doing just what he could do. In his 25 years of experience, he wasn't able to take a step to turn the tables. That's how he's navigated life so far. But in this awakening message, it came suddenly and left him scratching his head. Perhaps he hadn't woken up earlier because he was so broken that he fell asleep. So, with that thought, he asks for that status window to appear again. Jae-young's status profile appears clearly. His name, Bong Jae-hyuk. Affiliation as Black Tower Korea, level 1, and trait as summoning. His simultaneous summons are limited to 1, and he also has no trait skills, directed, or random summoning. Summoning or dismissing are listed as common skills, entering the tower once a day, and the tower inventory is also there. As he looks at all this, Jae-young is completely bewildered. He doesn't understand when his trait turned into summoning. Well, then it is explained to us that traits are smart individuals, and these guys gain abilities known as traits. These traits range from swordsmanship, spear throws, shield arts, archery and martial arts, even gigantification, powerful strikes, summoning, healing, and other abilities. The creatures that can be summoned include spirits, beasts, ghosts, golems, and even demonic beasts. Summoning is viewed as a skill to command certain types of creatures that you can summon. While digesting this information, Jae-young is lost in his thoughts, trying to understand the bizarre change that has just occurred. He begins to wonder what summoning ability he has acquired and is curious to learn more about it. At the same time, he is there waiting for something really insane or incredible to happen. With these thoughts hammering in his head, he prepares and activates the summoning command. He does not call any specific being, leaving in the air that expectation of what might happen next. Then, for a long time, nothing happens. Damn, this leaves him super confused. As time passes, he starts to think that these abilities do not work outside the mundane. He believes that the abilities of players like him only work inside the tower and do not manifest in the real world. So, outside the tower, a player is nothing more than an ordinary civilian. While looking at his computer, Jae-young begins to criticize himself, thinking that anyone who uses the internet already knows that abilities don't work outside the tower. At that moment, a message appears on the system screen, announcing that a random summoning is taking place. Upon seeing that message, Jae-young is completely stunned, unable to believe he is being summoned outside the tower. The scene shifts to inside his room, where a human-shaped glow appears in front of the door. That light slowly takes shape, gradually molding into a humanoid figure. And wouldn't you know it, our friend Jae-young managed to summon a human? Damn, what a trip. This guy is in total shock. He's there, unable to believe he actually brought someone like this here. The summoned individual, without even blinking, confirms that he is indeed a human and, with all that politeness, addresses Jae-young as Sir while bowing. Jae-young was literally paralyzed. This guy is trying to understand everything that's going on, and he's pondering how a human can be summoned out here from the tower, you know? Meanwhile, the person called here seems to smell something in the air, and what he detects is ramen. That's right, instant noodles, my brother. As soon as he realizes it, his happiness is visible. He goes for the ramen and asks if he can take a bite. Jae-young, without a second thought, releases the summoned. He just lifts the plate, blowing on the ramen to cool it down, and in that moment, Jae-young thinks, look at this. Of all the things I summoned, I picked a freeloader who only cares about taking bites. The guy takes a bite and comments, there must be a new spicy flavor here, right? Jae-young, already annoyed, reflects that this type thinks even the skill is spicy. He really is a classic, man. Then, as the moment passes, he starts to question how human summoning can happen outside the tower. The confusion only increases because he's never heard of someone showing abilities outside the tower. While he thinks about this, the status window appears again, and here comes the message informing him that he can summon humans, and even semi-humans. The list of summonable ranks is there, starting from R, rare to LS and SR. Wow, what type is this, my brother? Besides being special, it's super rare, that's for sure. And communication between the summoned and the summoner is guaranteed for all those situations that arise. Moreover, Jae-young feels like he's in a game. Then, another message appears, now informing that the summoned is bound by 3 commandments. This leaves him in shock. After that, the message details the commandments. Well, look at that. The first is to protect the summoner's life at all costs. The second is to obey all the summoner's commands. And the third reveals that, if there is a conflict between the first and the second, the first must always take precedence. Jae-young feels more at ease knowing that the summoned is obligated to follow the orders. And then there's the curiosity in the air. Who is this guy that he summoned? Well, moments later, the scene advances showing that while he was justifying taking a bite, the summoned was already gulping down all the ramen. Shortly after, the details about the summoned one emerge. He is identified as John Kossack, a mad killer from the Cruel Guild. His rank is SR, which means super rare, and the satisfaction rating appears as none. But information reveals that Kossack is seen as a major headache for the Cruel Guild, a nullifier with an absurd 99% success rate on missions. This guy even took out a 5th Circle Dark Mage, but his last moments are hazy. The information is relayed in Jae-young's mind, but everything sounds a bit confusing. Suddenly, a blinding light shines before his eyes, and then he feels like he's falling. In front of him, Kossack, the summoned one, appears at a bizarre speed. The crazy guy doesn't waste any time and rushes past Jae-young with a knife in hand. In the next second, using the small knife, he decapitates 3 guys with ease. Jae-young realizes he is witnessing Kossack's past and is left speechless. He watches Kossack neatly placing the heads in a row, tying ribbons around each one. The scene is so surreal that Jae-young starts to understand why this guy has been labeled insane. Then the scene shifts, and Kossack turns his gaze towards a palace. It then appears that Kossack's end came due to his one flaw. His target was the best swordsman in the Empire. He approached a sleeping man, raised the knife, but before he could strike, the Spider-Man reacts and cuts Kossack in half. The scene becomes Kossack's last memory. Soon, the narrative returns to the present. After witnessing this memory, Kossack repositions himself behind Jae-young and exclaims, "Whoa! I thought you had left!" Jae-young, caught off guard by the voice behind him, jumps in shock, and the guy stumbles back and collides with the table. Kossack quickly apologizes and explains that he had no way of knowing he would give him such a fright. He was just asking if there was something for him to do. Then, with a sudden calm, Jae-young realizes that the rule is clear. Who is summoned? You have to obey the orders of the caller. They let out a long sigh, breaking that tension, and say, "Clean the area where you made the ramen." He commands as if he doesn't care. Kossack all smiles and starts doing the job. The other one even says, "Don't forget the table, okay?" He continues. Jae-young, this guy doesn't miss an opportunity. Without hesitation, Kossack agrees and quickly starts making everything shine. Jae-young is impressed with how fast the guy is. He's quick. It's crazy. More impressive than that is seeing Kossack not complaining about anything. And it seems that Kossack really takes any order he receives seriously. But the most curious thing is that he calls, "Hey, Kossack!" Kossack responds immediately, full of enthusiasm. "What's the order, boss?" Jae-myung questions if he thinks that even absurd orders need to be fulfilled. And sure enough, Kossack gets it right away. "Of course! I follow all the orders of the caller no matter the situation." In light of the confirmation, an absurd idea pops into Jae-myung's mind. Then, bark like a dog. Soon, Kossack stops everything he's doing and freezes, as if he had heard an order that left him stunned. Jae-myung, dazed, wonders if he pushed it a bit too far with that one. Remembering Kossack's past, that guy who had been a powerhouse, he worries, imagining how proud he must be. But suddenly, Kossack snaps back to reality, starts barking, and runs like a puppy. Wow, he's already wide-eyed, giving a seal of approval. That's it. Yes, my brother, pure obedience. At that moment, a loud knock on the door interrupts. Someone from outside asks to come in, and a chill runs down Jae-myung's spine as he remembers that he owed the interest on a loan he had completely forgotten about. Kossack quickly gets up from the floor. He commands, and Kossack's response is immediate. He rises, obeying. At this moment, revelations emerge. Jae-myung had borrowed nothing less than the staggering amount of 10 million wons, that is, Korean coins. No. Bank agreed to give such tremendous support, and he found himself forced to turn to a loan shark. Well, look at the irony of the situation. Your father had slipped on ice and injured himself, breaking his hip, which resulted in various hospital expenses. Additionally, the money for the younger brother's college also began to fall on this guy's shoulders. Under pressure, he had only one way out: to borrow money. At first, he thought paying it off would be very easy, but the situation turned out to be much more complicated. The bill didn't forgive. Jae-myung had already forked out over 5 million in interest. Just the weight of this. Reality put an absurd, unbearable pressure on him. All he wanted was to get rid of it soon and live a peaceful life, free of worries. The pounding on the door continued strongly, and the voice outside complained that he needed to see Jae-myung's face just to check if he was really managing the money well. At that moment, Jae-myung cast a nervous glance at Kossack, and, to his surprise, Kossack drew his sword and stated that he only needed an order. He declared that for his master, he would be willing to present the other man's head as a tribute. Jae-myung, terrified, rejected this horrendous idea with desperation in his eyes. "No, damn it, Kossack, are you crazy, brother? No, don't do that, brother, no, this won't work." The pressure was so intense that his heart was already racing. Damn, Kossack was about to cause real chaos there. Quickly, he pushed Kossack toward the bathroom, telling him to hide there and stay quiet. "See? Don't make a sound, please, not a breath." But Kossack asked, "Damn, can't I even breathe?" Then Jae-myung said, you can breathe." Then the door opened. A man entered the room, exerting an overwhelmingly oppressive pressure. He grabbed Jae-myung by the shoulder, saying, "Look, Bong, Jae-myung seems healthy today, huh? When I didn't receive the interest payment, I was really down, thinking maybe you were sick or something." With a trembling voice, Jae-myung admitted that he had forgotten and apologized profusely, stating that he would pay soon. Then, with a sinister look, the loan shark suggested that if the money was hard to come by, maybe he could sell one of his organs, a kidney, some balls. One heart, one eye. Maybe he will find a way to make the payment easier, right? At that moment, the scene cuts outside, where some henchmen of the loan shark discuss the younger brother, Jae-myung. Upon hearing this, the loan shark's boss concludes that the rarer the object, the higher its value. Leaving the atmosphere charged with tension from this information, Jae-myung felt a wave of anger and shot a fiery glance at the loan shark boss, his nerves on edge. It was predictable that Jae-myung was about to lash out at him. Jae-myung, trying to control himself, assures that he would never have the courage to do something like that. Shortly after, the loan shark boss, in that angry state, leaves, but not before sending a hint to our hero. "Don't worry, my friend, my buddy." He makes it clear that he doesn't want to see Jae-myung 6 feet under before seeing the debt paid. As soon as he leaves, immense relief washes over Jae-myung. He doesn't waste any time and calls Kossack, who shows up right away, coming out of the bathroom way too angry. He gives a compliment about how well the coat managed to hide, making his assistant incredibly happy for completing the mission properly. As Jae-myung reflects on the chaos of the day, fatigue sets in. And man, he starts to remember his work journeys, the insane alarm of being summoned by a human, and of course the visit from all the loan sharks, which was really tense. He goes back to thinking about the debt and questions whether he should actually climb that tower. In doubt, he appears like a ghost, a coward. How to climb a tower. At the same time, the need to overcome his financial struggles screams in his head. Kossack, still feeling a vibe, asks if Jae-myung has any more missions for him. Oh well, not for now. In the same vein, Kossack asks to keep watching TV until he receives new information or instructions. Jae-myung is left puzzled, asking how the kid knows what advanced technology is, like a television. Despite all this, he leaves Kossack and Kossack. The latter happily settles down, saying he wants to watch some episodes of a drama. The scene cuts, and we see Kossack completely focused on the TV. As Jae-young turns off the lights and throws himself onto the bed to sleep, watching the kid enjoy a drama, he thinks again that no way a coward like him would be able to climb the tower. But strangely, that moment is comforting. He reflects that until now, his life had been in solitude, pushing himself towards death. However, with Kossack's presence, a light flickers in his mind, and he feels better. The scene shifts, and the kid is completely hypnotized by the TV. The next scene cuts to the following day. An alarm clock rings at 8, and it's already 1 in the afternoon. He turns it off immediately, calls Kossack, but only silence responds. He begins to worry that the summoning has gone south. Then it comes to mind that he noticed something during the night. He was a bit sleepy when he saw a system window indicating that Kossack's summoning had ended. He remembered the time limit was 6 hours, meaning Kossack could only be summoned for that duration. Rising from the bed, he tells himself it's time to let it go and head to work. Then he notices the TV is still on, probably because Kossack left it running. On the screen, a news report is on, and the topic is heavy. In Jongnu this morning, a bizarre crime took place at the illegal loan shark firm Smiley Cast. There was a horrendous murder. Jae-young stops everything and freezes while brushing his teeth. The news is talking about the same loan shark from whom he borrowed money. The report continues stating that 3 victims were found, all beheaded. Wow, is this real? Could it be the summoned one who did this? The heads were wrapped in red ribbons. Sounds very familiar, right? Upon hearing about those heads and ribbons, Jae-young is in shock. He remembers that this brutal way of dispatching others was the trademark of Juwon Kossack in his previous life. Overcome with fear, the guy panics. Wow, this guy just wanted a good, comfortable life. But now he summoned the psychopath. Chills and regrets weigh like an anchor in his head. Another scene appears, and it's at the crime scene. The loan shark's office is completely destroyed. Not only him, but all his henchmen were killed. The decapitated heads are organized on a table, each tied with a ribbon. The killer's style is brutal, identical to the Kossack's way. That same news spreads and also appears on Jae-young's phone screen, which is glued to the headlines, growing more and more anxious. In his mind, there are no doubts. Only the Kossack could have committed such a barbarity. Later, while working in a department store, someone suddenly approaches saying, "Excuse me." Jae-young turns with a roll, and upon seeing, comes to a complete stop. There is the loan shark holding his own decapitated head, tied with a ribbon. The head is in front of him, as if it were a product for sale. At that moment, terror takes hold of him, and he begins to hallucinate behind the counter. On the shelves, he imagines those decapitated heads of the loan shark's subordinates, all decorated with ribbons organized like products. Good lord, the guy is hallucinating. In the hallucination, the heads call out to him repeatedly, urging him to hurry and record everything. Unable to cope with the situation, Jae-young panicked severely. Suddenly, he took a step back and bumped into a shelf. The thud brought him back to reality. When he finally looked forward again, he was faced with a normal customer standing right in front of him. The woman looked concerned and asked if he was okay. Realizing that all of this was just a hallucination, Jae-young felt completely embarrassed. He, who had prayed intensely, couldn't stop apologizing to the customer. Oh, I'm sorry. Ma'am, I'm sorry. In the next scene, it was already time to leave work. Jae-young walked home with his mind full of apprehensions. He realized that in this state, he couldn't concentrate on any job, so he made the decision to take a break from all jobs starting the next day. As the snow fell heavily on that cold day, he walked down the road toward his home. Meanwhile, the guilt crushed his chest, believing that those deaths, it was entirely because of him. Soon after, the scene changed and showed him inside the house. He opened the system window again and looked at Kossack's profile. As he read the detailed information, Jae-young became absolutely convinced that Kossack was the reckless murderer. Although Kossack never targeted his summoner, the situation itself was completely terrifying. Jae-young raised his hand towards the system window, trying to summon Kossack, and then a message popped up on the screen, leaving him shocked. The system requested a satisfaction rating before proceeding with the summoning. The screen was asking him to slide his finger and give a star rating. Jae-young stared at it in disbelief and, irritated, raised his middle finger at that bizarre notification. Just remembering that the only thing he had told Kossack was to chill at home and watch TV while that kid went out committing a bunch of murders was enough to push anyone to their limits, right? Not because of all that, but Jae-young thought Kossack deserved only 1 star for being so disruptive. He didn't see himself as cruel, but after a few seconds of reflection, he fell silent. He realized he wasn't so cruel as to completely end someone's life. So keeping that in mind, he decided to give the cause a 3-star rating. The system confirmed the rating without any issues. After that, Jae-young remembered remembered his mother's job, which was the coordinator for rental water purifiers. Because of this, he knew how devastating a low rating could be. No matter how many complaints he had about Kossack, he didn't want to crush him with a 1-star rating. Damn, this guy is too nice. While still pondering, Kossack was summoned before him. Kossack appeared all smiles, respectfully greeted him, and showed that he was happy to see Jae-young again. After checking the rating, he realized that you didn't give a like, my brother. Damn, and you got this far and didn't give a like. What's up, my brother? Strengthen that. Kossack thanked him and promised to strive even harder in the future, observing Kossack's innocent expression. Jae-young started to doubt reality. He couldn't understand how that smile could belong to someone who had killed 3 people in one night. To ease his doubts, Jae-young asked Kossack to be honest in his answers. He asked the straightforward question of whether Kossack was responsible for the deaths that occurred in his house the night before. Kossack, calm and direct, confirmed that he had indeed sent those guys to hell. Hearing this information bluntly, Jae-young was in shock. There was no doubt left. He looked Kossack straight in the eyes, forcing himself to accept the truth. This guy reminded him that he was in front of a true killer. His stomach churned, twisted, and his heart began to race. It was crucial to remember that, as the summoner, Kossack could not harm him. Despite all the fear, he tried to calm himself and then asked how Kossack had managed to find the loan shark's office, since technically he shouldn't know where it was. Kossack explained that when those people came to Jae-young's house, he placed a tracker mark on them. This worked like a tracking system, allowing him to locate them easily. Jae-young was astounded by that revelation. It was hard for him to believe that Kossack had the ability to do all this while hiding in the bathroom. Jae-young then asked why Kossack had gone so far. Kossack replied that since those guys were considered a threat, exterminating them beforehand was the smartest solution. Jambi noted that he had never given orders for them to be eliminated. Kossack reminded him of the 3 laws of summoning, especially the one from Article 3. Jambi was shocked by this. Kossack explained that the first law prioritized the protection of the summoner's life above all else. The second established absolute obedience to the summoner's orders. And the third, well, that one stated that if the first and second laws came into conflict, the first would always take precedence. Kossack simplified the explanation, stating that obedience was absolute, but any situation threatening the summoned could not be ignored in any way. Kossack, always with his crazy ideas, gave an absurd example. What if the summoned person ordered their own assassination? That would be an impossible mission, right? No, Jae-long, with the face of someone who didn't buy that, made a sort of I don't get it expression. My brother then started to wonder if there was really any real threat, and deep down, found the whole logic kind of arbitrary. Kossack, with his straightforward manner, admitted that Article 3 could be interpreted in 1,000 ways, but in his view, these people were risks and could very well threaten Jae-young's life. He thought he was right. Upon hearing this, Jae-young became even more terrified and exclaimed, "Damn, my brother, you are a psychopath," but he quickly apologized. "My bad, right, brother? Sorry about that." However, with Zack determined in the mission, he stopped Jae-young and said that he was used to hearing that and that he wouldn't accept excuses. Master Jae-young dove into his thoughts. It wasn't that he didn't understand the whole logic, but realizing how this way of thinking could be dangerous was too terrifying for a normal person, right? No, this guy is dealing with a killer. It's better for him to stay alert. He imagined the scene, having a chat with someone who looked like a thug. Normally, this crowd just threatens, but in Kossack's mind, even those words could lead to decapitation. That thought sent Jae-young into a panic. Zack, noticing his fear, became confused and thought he had done something wrong. He kneeled before Jae-young to apologize, but Jae-young, with an expression of someone who wasn't cool with it, told him to get up. Get up. He carefully explained that killing was not good and that it could put both of them in great danger. Kossack, somewhat nervous, replied that no one would find out. So, Jae-young decided to ask if Kossack could refrain from doing anything like that again. Kossack realized he couldn't promise that, and it made Jae-young even more terrified. That moment, Jae-young was already in a tight spot and demanded that he promise he would only pull a gun if there was a knife to his throat. Kossack, all formal, needed to think more about threats before making any moves. Kossack bowed and promised he would be more prudent in the future. He, all excited, made Jae-young finally let out a sigh of relief. Jae-young asked Kossack to take a break and stay nearby, but Kossack, curious as ever, had a question. So Jae-young gave him the freedom to ask. Kossack wanted to know if Jae-young wanted to climb the tower. This question left Jae-young shocked. He knows that climbing the tower is a rare opportunity, but also super dangerous. Jae-young, feeling curious, asked if Kossack had another summoner before. Kossack confirmed and said that the previous one was strong and brave. This made our boy feel a bit embarrassed. While others were using their skills to save the world, poor Jae-young was always trying to avoid risks. Before Kossack could continue, Jae-young called himself a coward. But then Kossack, out of nowhere, got excited and started praising Jae-young, calling him the best summoner. This reaction left Jae-young in total shock. Kossack grabbed Jae-young's shoulder, all pumped, and said that safety was the greatest virtue of a summoner. Jae-young, nervous, just agreed. Oh, really? Is that true? This guy is quite the loser indeed. Do you all really think so? Kossack also said that courage was poison, and that a brave summoner was a threat, because if the summoner kicks the bucket, there's no way the summoning can happen. Kossack then reassured Jae-young, promising to take care of the rotten side of things. He warned Jae-young to take care of himself and live a long life. Those words touched Jae-young deeply. It was the first time someone had spoken to him with such confidence. Soon the scene jumped to Jae-young waking up in the morning. He hardly slept, troubled by Kossack's words and the tower as well, wondering what climbing the tower meant for someone like him. But at least he felt relieved to know that the loan sharks had disappeared and the debt was settled. Stepping outside, he took a breath of the fresh morning air, finally feeling free. Out of nowhere, his phone rang. It was his father asking if he was taking rehabilitation seriously. Jae-young hung up, knowing what the old man needed to be. Transferred to a larger hospital, he still learned that his mother had been fired. The news hit him like a truck. My father hurriedly said not to worry, mentioning that they had been trying to reach him because there had been no contact for a while. After exchanging a few brief words, the call ended. Jae-young was completely disoriented, feeling a deep sadness thinking of the mother who had always worked hard. In the next scene, all hell broke loose. Jae-young, fully equipped, was preparing to climb the tower. That last phone call was the last straw, and he gathered all the courage he lacked. Just look at crazy Jae-young, who took a day off from his daily grind. Now he had a little free time to check things out. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath because, in reality, he just wanted to take a look at the first floor of the tower and get out quickly. If things got tense, then he thought, is it possible to call someone else to help me too? But he was unsure if the summoning was possible, or just a wild fantasy. Just imagine, he even dreamed of summoning a legendary super rare being. But before he could react, a system notification popped up saying that random summoning was out of play for more than 28 days. But in the next moment, well, Kossack appeared, all excited, thanking him for the 5-star loyalty rating and asking for orders. Jae-young just hoped Kossack wouldn't realize he had tried to summon someone else. So, trying to maintain his composure, he said, "What's up?" "Kossack, my buddy! This thing is fake! You're crazy, my brother!" Then, just like that, he revealed the crazy idea of climbing the tower. Kossack was shocked and pumped with adrenaline, praised him for being bold, but quickly withdrew his confidence, doubting if it was a good idea. Jae-young explained that it was just an attempt during his free time. Without looking back, Kossack threw away Jae-young's tools. He shouted that he would be his own instrument in this insane crossing, promising to protect him from all the tower's threats. Jae-young immediately agreed. The system launched a new question, asking if they wanted to enter the Black Tower. From Korea, showing that the first floor was cleared, cool, confirmation made, and the system gave the command. They were already falling straight into the tower, and it really got stuck in Jae-young, looking very excited. Jaime screamed in despair as they descended, and the situation in the high-dimension tunnel was driving him even crazier. That adrenaline rush was the first time he had fallen from such an absurd height, and his strength was fading. Damn, this was just making everything worse. But Kossack, ever loyal, held tightly to the back of his collar, ensuring the kid wouldn't get lost in the chaos of the descent. Finally, they landed in a deep spot inside the Black Tower, and it was bizarre. The ground floor looked like a dry desert. Man, Jae-young's stomach churned right away, and without thinking twice, he vomited on the floor. "Why, my God, brother, I wasn't ready for this." Kossack, seeing the scene, tried to comfort the guy, saying that soon he would get used to that weird feeling, and that this vomit would be a thing of the past. Damn, didn't he take any Dramamine? After the guy reorganized himself, Kossack signaled to move on, indicating it was time to leave the safe zone. Jae-young, a bit slow, followed Kossack as he walked. Messages from the system started popping up in front of him. His physical skills had already been enhanced according to his level, and there were still 3 more attributes and combat skills available. Think about it, even at level 1, the kid already felt stronger than ever. And on that screen, a detailed mission appeared. The challenge of the first floor was to take down 5 fat larvae with tough skin, with a 2-hour timer and the count, 0 out of 5 defeated. And if he failed, there were only 2 exits. Well, the first was to face death, right? The second, to give up. As soon as the mission appeared, Kossack, like a true detective, already found the monsters he had to face. The whole thing was this. Jae-young had studied this movement before, and remembered that the first floor served as a basic test. The fat larvae with tough skin. It was almost like a training dummy, weak attack, but durable skin, which made the job of eliminating it quite complicated. The other players spent almost 30 minutes just to take one down. Jae-young made a mental note that he was also a player now and knew he had to defeat at least one. With determination boiling, he charged towards the monsters while Kossack, somewhat anxious, wondered if all this effort was really necessary, but our boy ignored the worry and stood firm, going face to face with the larva. He grabbed a weapon that Kossack had left around and, with his mind racing, thought about his next move. He quickly diverted his attention to Kossack. At that moment, the larva, sensing the presence of the human, rose up and prepared to attack. The sound that erupted left Jae-young in shock. His face was pure focus. He slowly turned towards the creature, gripped by fear, and that was when he called out to Kossack for help. Without wasting any time, Kossack moved in, charging towards the larva with unbelievable speed. Before the beast could strike, Kossack took it down with a single blow, and out of nowhere, other monsters appeared in the area. Kossack signaled for Jae-young to wait a moment. The maniac pressed on, showcasing his insane skills while eliminating the monsters still in the area, all with agility and precision worthy of applause. Kossack wielded an absurd number of blades in both hands, and in one motion, threw them all at the enemies. Each blade hit a different monster. Aye, true festival of destruction. Once his shining weapons were embedded in the bodies of the creatures, he stood there like a true hero. Then he activated his skill, and in that instant, all the blades exploded in a pyrotechnic display within the monsters, obliterating them in seconds. With a hero's aura, Kossack turned back towards Jae-young as the explosions echoed like a soundtrack behind him. Wow! What a scene, my brother. Jae-young, who was there, was simply shocked by the impressive skills he witnessed. For the first time, it's hard to believe that Kossack was so capable, practically an Arno game in human form. Soon after, a reward notification flashed on the screen in front of Jae-young. The mission on the first floor had been completed. The system announced that he had leveled up and received 100 grams of magic stones. Too good, right? But there was more. The system also informed that the mission result was a calm S+, and as if that wasn't enough, there was an additional reward, a platinum badge. Stop it, brother. This is just insane. Are you out of your mind? The guy is getting everything handed to him. Jae-young felt light, as if he were floating on clouds. The ease with which everything had happened simply left him stunned. He soon realized he was on a sure path to wealth, something out of this world, right? But in the same vibe and without knowing, a warning from the system appeared simultaneously for all players in South Korea. System windows popped up before various people, an office worker, a girl working out at the gym, and a young man in a corner. It was as if the system was calling everyone. Jae-young quickly figured out that a fierce competition was about to begin. Shortly after, another message arrived for him, notifying that it was time to challenge the second floor of the Black Tower of Korea. In the blink of an eye, both Jae-young and Kossack reappeared in the room. Jae-young went crazy, realizing that clearing a floor quickly sent players back to their initial locations, right? He then checked his phone and realized that only 5 minutes had passed since he entered the tower. Out of nowhere, he felt nauseous, as if his body was trying to understand what was happening. Kossack, all cheerful, praised Jae-young for his performance as if he had watched a talent show. Jae-young, a bit shy, replied that he hardly did anything. He just stood there, watching the battle scene. Kossack, with a wise saying in mind, declared that this was indeed the best strategy, since observing was the right way to go. He found it a bit strange, but he ended up nodding, right? Not thinking about the scale of the battle, he remembered that he had heard other players, and the stories didn't turn out well at all. After all, they could barely pass the first floor, exhausted after an insane fight with the worms. Compared to that mess, what he experienced was almost a walk in the park, no stress at all. So, he decided to take a closer look at the rewards he had earned. He picked up the magic stone and inspected it closely, like someone examining a rare jewel. The magic stones were described as crucial resources in modern times, a kind of digital gold, you know? It's like Bitcoin. Their price had plummeted since the early days of the towers. Currently, my friend, 100 grams was worth about 50,000. It has been 20 years since the Black Towers emerged around the world. Every common person already knew the basics about this deal. Then, Jae-young looked at the platinum emblem he had won and realized he had never seen anything like it before. He decided to roll up his sleeves and sell the magic stone to get the 50,000. A little task that would take just a few minutes, right? Meanwhile, Kossack, all relaxed, turned on the TV and got comfortable to watch a drama as if nothing had happened. In the next scene, they both began to sit down to eat together, as if it were nothing. After so long, Jae-young, all satisfied, brought out some proper food that smelled really good. Wow, delicious! Kossack caught the scent and already had a suspicion, thinking it could be spicy pig's feet, but Jae-young quickly denied it, remembering that Kossack didn't like spicy food at all. Still, Kossack noticed the pepper in there, which made Jae-young realize that he couldn't handle anything spicy. Even once it was clear that it wasn't spicy at all, Kossack was all excited, eager to eat, until he felt content and thanked Jae-young for the meal, being polite, which surprised the guy. Jae-young, not knowing how to react, decided to ask about Kossack's way of speaking, and Kossack, a bit lost, asked what he meant by that. Jae-young ended up trying to explain that the formal and short way Kossack spoke was a conversation from another time. Kossack, in turn, explained that this dated back to the time he spent with his previous summoner. Meanwhile, as this was said, Jae-young compared the influence a partner can have to a kind of catchphrase that sticks. Kossack, a bit embarrassed and all adorable, offered to change the way he communicated if Jae-young found it strange, but Jae-young declined, laughing and saying it was just funny. Kossack let out a laugh, and Jae-young, infected by it, laughed along. There, in that moment, Jae-young realized that Kossack wasn't so much of a danger as he had feared. The other one was the one who knew how to handle situations carefully. Excited about this new confidence, he decided it was time to return to the tower at dawn. The scene reveals Jae-young dedicating himself to drawing a chart of an alpha male's daily routine. He planned to work at a convenience store during the day and at a grill restaurant at night. He also decided to quit his part-time job at the construction site. Instead, he would join Kossack, helping clean the tower. This new routine seemed perfect for him, but it wasn't long before Kossack returned to the scene. He was shocked to see that Jae-young had given him another maximum rating of 5 stars. Jae-young explained that if he had the option to give 10 stars, he would have done that too. Kossack was beaming, knowing he had pleased his summoner. Then Jae-young began to wonder if these ratings were really that important. Kossack clarified that higher ratings resulted in better rewards. Each rating affected the improvements Kossack could have in future summonings. He explained that the manifestation time, rating increase, and frequency of summonings were all enhanced. Subsequently, the two ascended to the second floor of the Black Tower. There, the system announced the mission for the second floor. Eliminate 10 fast and fat larvae within a 2-hour time frame. The larvae, sensing the presence of humans, immediately huddled together and charged at them.
Jaim, who noticed that the larvae were troublesome due to their erratic movements, asked what he should do. Kossack reassured him, saying that he didn't need to do anything. He assured him that the mission would be over quickly and, with a big smile, made a gesture indicating it would take 3 minutes. Kossack ran after the fleeing larvae, holding on to Jae-young, who would soon be back. Jae-young shouted that once it was over, they would eat chicken. Kossack smiled, grateful for the opportunity.
Guy loves chicken. He readied his blades, attacking with the same explosive technique he had used before. Jae-young, watching the battle with excitement, was completely mesmerized by the spectacle. Soon, a reward notification appeared. Mission completed on the second floor with an S+ rank. Jae-young leveled up again, earning the modest sum of 200 grams of magic stone and yet another platinum badge. He also realized how easy everything had become. Kossack was much faster than he imagined. He understood that he could clear floors before going to work and still arrive on time. Well, I think these missions are too easy, huh? No, or the guy is really strong. Next, they moved to the third floor. Kossack remarked that Jae-young's landing had improved. The mission on the third floor was to eliminate groups, whatever they were, and it didn't take long for Kossack to defeat them. The system announced another S+, releasing a level increase, 300 grams of magic stone, and another platinum badge. Shortly after, the fourth floor was cleared with ease. The fifth floor had the same luck. Jae-young celebrated with Kossack, exchanging a victorious high five. Finally, a new notification appeared. The system noted that 5 S+ platinum badges had been collected and a special benefit was granted for it. Seeing the words "special benefit" for the first time, Jae-young was shocked. The benefit was described as an enhancement of awakening traits and increased the number of simultaneous summons. For the 2 new scenes, the system screen displayed Young-hyung's profile in detail. Name, Bong Jae-hyuk. Affiliation, Black Tower, Republic of Korea, Level 6, Summoning Trait, Simultaneous Summons. 2. Empty Catalog, Designated Summoning Trait Skill, Random Summoning, Summoning Release, General Skills, Entry into the Tower once a day, Exclusive Tower Inventory. It also had those combat skills, which is to say, none. My dude, the moment Jae-young read that he was entitled to 2 simultaneous summons, his jaw almost dropped. My brother, that meant he could already call another partner, even before a month. passed. Another summoned one could be added to his side. However, until now, Kossack had handled everything alone. Jae-young realized how absurdly powerful the reward was. More than that, it wasn't just an advantage for the short term. It could be a combat strategy for the long haul from that moment on. More importantly, this significantly increased Jae-young's safety. So he checked the cooldown time for random summoning and saw that there were still more than 20 days left. He understood that he should proceed with caution and wait patiently. Ryuk decided he would hold on tight and wait out the 20 days. In the meantime, his summoned comrades would continue to handle the cleaning on the floors while he enjoyed the free rides through the portals. In the midst of these thoughts, he realized it was time to face the cleaning of the 6th floor. The scene then shifts to Handong in CU, there in the Republic of Korea, in the administration room of the awakened management. Several important figures are appearing. One of them is the head of the administration team of the awakened management. With each floor that is cleaned, a notification echoes in his office. Di-Gwan-will had a tense expression, lost in his thoughts. He wondered when it would ring today. In the morning, at night, or even late at night. At that moment, another figure appears, the deputy director of the administration. She approaches and throws out a question. So, are you learning your 10 flow? Are you thinking about the notification again? Mina insists and confesses that she can't hold back her curiosity. This leaves Gobang slightly irritated as he stops trying to guess what others are thinking. Then, with a serious look, Gobang asks if there's been any new announcement, and upon confirmation, the Black Tower of Korea has recorded an S+, S+ cleaning on the 6th floor. This news shocks Gobang internally. He starts to realize that the global announcements from the Black Tower have been coming one after another, all reporting this S+, S+ cleaning. He comes to believe that all of this is the work of a single individual. Floors 1 to 5 were cleared in succession. There's no doubt this person is a true prodigy. Without a doubt, out of the blue, he finds himself wondering what would happen if floors 7, 8, 9, and 10 were also cleared. Suddenly, a hand slams down on the table. The owner of this hand is Park De-Yong-soo, the head of administration. He speaks in an authoritative tone and sets the record straight. The highest record Korea has ever had was only a rank A. No one knew an S+, S+ cleaning could trigger a global announcement, and with the international situation as it is, notifications have become routine. As secret kidnappings are happening in droves, before another country comes and manages to snatch this player, the priority is to find him immediately. He orders strict monitoring of all newly registered players. After this conversation, the scene cuts to 2 days later at Ju Yong's house. The group is now discussing the cleaning of the 8th floor. Zach, full of energy, appears washing dishes and whistling happily, with all the confidence in the world. Right, the kind only an assassin has. While washing dishes, he reassures Junior that everything will be fine. It's clear they're clearing 1 floor a day without any difficulties. For Junior, everything seems calm, at least until they reach the 10th floor. The scene shifts again and shows the two entering a forest on the 8th floor. Kossack leads the way and Junior follows, both ready for the mission. The mission for the 8th floor requires defeating 10 warriors, red spiny toads, and in the next instant, all the toad warriors charge forward. Kawaki is already throwing his dagger in hand and begins taking down enemies one by one. It's absurdly easy, my brother. Only those who see know. The reward notification appears on the screen, screaming that the mission on the 8th floor has been successfully completed. João Ribeiro levels up instantly and earns 800 grams of magic stones. Furthermore, he gathers 5 healing potions that only exist in the tower. The announcement confirms the completion with an S+ ranking on the 8th floor of the Black Tower. Another platinum badge is earned. Are you crazy? The guy is getting a lot, huh? The two are ready to go back home. Kossack, still cheerful, praises Juryu for the good work. On the other hand, Juryu isn't used to traveling through portals and started to feel a headache. Kossack explains that the hardest part is entering the floor itself. Jorillo, full of gratitude, acknowledges that everything is easy because of him, but Kossack then warns him not to let his guard down, because things won't continue like this after the 10th floor. Upon hearing this, Jorillo decides he wants to give Kossack a big gift for all the effort he has been putting in. He pulls out some cash from his bag and hands it to Kossack, telling him to go out, have fun, eat something tasty, and come back before his time runs out, as long as he doesn't cause any trouble. But Kossack refuses the money. Juri is confused and asks why. He gathered all his courage to offer it, and the rejection was so easy. Kossack explains that he can't go out alone without being the summoner. He can only stay home watching TV. That's what makes him the happiest. Hearing this, Juringo wonders if this absolute obedience also applies to things like this. Like the couple who wouldn't go on any adventures. Higo had a crazy idea, to ask for a chicken instead, right? Kossack, all excited, accepted the proposal while his eyes glued to the TV, watching a drama with a smile on his face. Kossack told Juju to choose a tasty meal, but don't even think about ordering something spicy, okay, Mel? The butter cheese. Sweet flavors, you know? You can have that after placing an order. Juju decided to take a look at the rewards he had and soon spotted a tower-exclusive healing potion and thought, well, this one I'm definitely keeping for the coat. And so he focused on the magical stones and pondered what he could do next. Now he had a whopping 3.6 kilos of them, worth approximately 1.8 million Korean coins. The scene jumps to the 10th day, the big day where they plan to challenge. The 10th floor. Juri was ecstatic, wondering if he would finally take a break from his part-time jobs. Initially, he only had the idea of stepping onto the lower floors. Now he was clearing 1 floor a day. The guy was solid. Do you remember how they cleared the 9th floor with that carnivorous plant full of corpses in the jungle? It was smooth sailing. These cleaning missions had become guaranteed rewards and seemed more like a bonus than anything else. It was all ridiculously sweet. In fact, it felt quite comforting. He cast a fond glance at Kossack and toasted with his eyes almost closed, but out of nowhere he completely forgot that Kossack was a psychopathic killer who had already murdered 3 people. The river that calls Kossack back, all excited, brings a system message saying Kossack's satisfaction rose to 5 points due to a series of top ratings. His manifestation time increased by an hour. Hulk shouts excitedly that it's worth giving the highest score, and there's Kossack, all happy, posing like a pop idol, thanking Hulk for boosting his skills. Hulk shares that he's looking forward to continuing this partnership, right? No. Oh, everyone knows he's anxious. Yes. Kossack, full of confidence, says to leave everything to him, but the only thing he asks is for you to like this video, brother, and also check out the video if you can. The next scene bursts forth as they materialize on the 10th floor. The system notification pops up. Entered the 10th floor of the Black Tower of Korea. Physical abilities are recalibrated to adapt. At the player level upon arrival, traits and combat skills are available. Juriyuki immediately senses the overwhelming aura of the 10th floor. Something stirs inside him and his body freezes. He realizes the recalibration is happening. An extremely overflowing force courses through his body, along with a strange mana pulling in his abdomen. Suddenly, Juriyuki transforms into a horse. Are you crazy? Even he was shocked by that transformation, but he declared he would help Kossack fight. This time, Kossack immediately refused, saying that if even a scratch appeared on the summoner Bong, he would kick the bucket right away. Juriyuki tries to reassure, insisting that now he was a wild horse and strong enough to help, but Kossack, calm, said that Juriyuki's support and praise were already enough. However, Juriyuki doesn't give up. He truly wants to fight alongside him this time. At that exact moment, his eyes fixate on a monstrous insect's eye. Fear hits hard. The insect creature is so colossal that Juriyuki and Kossack look like miniatures. My brother Juriyuki can't believe the 10th floor monster is that big. Are you crazy? He wonders how the other players managed to defeat such grand beings. Sending just 2 people to take down that insect feels like a slap in the face of humanity. Are you crazy? With both sides, my brother. Kossack begins to open his mouth to respond, but Hilk cuts him off, complaining that his pride is hurt. The giant monster focuses its gigantic eyes on them, and Hilk prays that Kossack has the courage to attack. Then, with an extremely swift movement, I love that word, the monster swings its arm at Kossack, but he manages to dodge just in time, gripping the daggers firmly. His expression turns mortally serious in a matter of moments. The monster is shredded in a shower of pieces, and he is defeated on the spot. Then, a beautiful reward notification appears. 10th floor mission successfully completed. Juriyuki levels up and receives another kilo of magic stones. A rank SS Plus completion notice is added, and yet another platinum emblem is awarded. Kossack, all smiles, declares that the mission is complete. Another message from the system appears. The 11th floor can be challenged, and the duo is exiting the tower. Now, Hilk has a total of 5.5, that is 1.5 kilos of magical stones, along with several platinum emblems. A new message appears announcing a benefit for accumulating 10 platinum emblems. Rio gets extremely excited, however. He is confused as he doesn't know what the benefit does. The deal is this. The system soon manifests, explaining that this bonus gives the user the ability to copy powers from any summoned being. Wow, my brother. Look, I'm bringing this back. It's getting good. That's right. He just needs to copy the abilities and use them as he pleases. Then a supreme alliance appears showing a bunch of skills. Blade explosion, shock break, ambush, venomous darga, shadow step, disruption, fertility, invisibility, polymorphism, and much more. And Ryuk is like, wow, my brother, is this for real? Can I actually do this? It was the first time he was dealing with this, right? No, Kazuki, our boy's summoned buddy shouts. This solidifies that shadow step is the perfect choice. And Ryuk, who was already having a headache, feels confused. Kossack explains that if he gets the chance to copy an ability, he should definitely go for the shadow step. After all, that will only bring advantages to this guy. That ability helps him escape quickly. If things get tight and if it happens, it's a game changer. You know what I mean, right, my brother? Perfect ability for making a getaway. I swear he can move quickly and silently. On the other hand, hearing that makes Ryuk feel a bit down. He starts to wonder what Kossack really thinks of him. Does he think I'm a loser? I don't think he does, my boy. I'm sure of it. Fortunately, of course not. At that moment, a notification from the system pops up. The shadow step ability has been acquired and registered in your status window. Jorigo freaks out, thinking about the importance of being agile in combat. He remembered that speed and life in a fight are very good, and wonders if this skill would work in real life too. He decides to test the agility of the shadow step in his garden, inside his room. Kosaka relaxes watching a drama. After a while of practicing, Juryugi is so tired that he collapses on the floor, poor thing, and he starts grumbling that if the summons really worked in the real world, this skill should have worked. But honestly, nothing happens. Kossack, who's minding his own business, just agrees with everything Juryugi says. The scene then shifts. Jerome Hulk is on the phone making a call. On the other end, someone confirms that it's from the alarm manager's call center. Jerome Hulk, nervous, introduces himself and explains that he's waking up. The call center, excited, starts congratulating him with all that energy. The volume is so loud that he has to pull the phone away from his ear. They ask if government support can drop by his house. Jurillo agrees and promptly gives them the address. The conversation ends with them thanking him for his cooperation. Then, we are told that the ordinary citizen, Bong Jae-hyuk, finally had the courage to contact the alarm manager's administration to sell magical stones. The most courageous decision of his 25 years, without a doubt. The scene changes and we are in the administration office. Mina appears approaching a car where Gobang is waiting. He asks about the Daegu alarm clock that contacted them the other day. Mina replies that she doesn't believe that person is the bearer of the S registration. More. An already annoyed Guang Yu questions whether that individual really exists and quickly reports that another wake-up request has arrived today. She asks if Guang Yu is going along. He confirms that they have to take advantage while they can. If that guy is indeed the legend, they have to recruit him for the elite team. Without thinking twice, on the other side, Ryuk decides to clean up the room after. Kossack disappears. He throws away everything that's useless. Right after that, the management team of the Awakened passes in front of his house. They shout his name, and Rui, who opens the door at that moment, greets them, apologizing for the tight space but inviting the guys to come in. Gobang enters and immediately introduces himself as the team leader. He also introduces the assistant director, Liminar, explaining that she is a player as well. Upon seeing Minar, Juryu starts to feel a bit nervous and tense. Just look at how unlucky this guy is. He even stumbles while introducing himself. Minar comes closer, and his nervousness shoots up. She asks if he is the Awakened, but Rui notices that he's red as a tomato, brother, dying of shame. Under pressure, he takes a step back, flustered, while his head ties itself in knots. He wonders if this guy is hunting awakened ones because he knew nothing. In a moment of decision, he decides to deny everything, telling himself to act normal. However, instead of behaving like a normal person, he speaks stiffly like a malfunctioning robot, saying he thought he'd heard about something like that and that it wasn't him, laughing nervously. Then, after hearing this, the girl had a suspicious look, observing everything. Inside, Horillo's red flag went up. That was typical of someone who was lying, you know? In the middle of this atmosphere, Anjo suddenly decided to slap her face, somewhat restrained by poking around people, letting out an irritated scream. "Manager!" The girl, quick as a cat, dodged the blow and ensured that next time she would be smarter. Angie recognized the lack of manners and apologized to Ju Yang, addressing him with all the formal respect of a player. Ryug, in turn, got nervous and replied that everything was fine. Deep down, he realized Minar. He actually just wanted to know more, like fishing for information. And wouldn't you know it, at that very moment, a fairy appeared, the mascot of the Black Tower of Korea, beginning to narrate this insane truth of the world. And the fairy introduced herself as Tabi and invited everyone to understand the dynamics of the tower. With a theatrical presentation, my partner Tabi showed a dark and colossal figure, as dark as the night, that not even the tallest building on Earth could approach. Well, the Caliph's kettle will be that masterpiece. It was the Black Tower. Tabi shared that these towers sprouted out of nowhere 20 years ago all over the world. Countries sent their armies and scientists in search of answers, but no one could get close due to the invisible barrier that prohibited any contact. The real story about the tower only came to light when the players began to appear. The tower operated like a game, where climbers ascended one floor at a time. Outside, the players were just normal humans, but inside the tower, then things changed. They had powers and extremely powerful abilities. Using the rewards they earned inside, players improved their gear and significantly helped the planet's economy. Then, a system alert started popping up on the screen, warning that Korea was falling, behind in the race to climb the Black Tower. Shortly after, another alert. The countdown to the tower's collapse had started, and would only stop if an upper undestroyed floor was conquered. Did you know? It was explained that if a new undestroyed floor wasn't achieved in 6 months, the countdown would return, and the tower would collapse. Look at that. And the rain of alerts didn't stop there. Another alert appeared. Korea's tower was collapsing. The warning brought a dark revelation. This is how Mumbai disappeared 3 years ago. Then Tabi shifted the focus to South Korea. Each country had between 1 and 3 black towers, and Korea had only one, located deep in the Gogwan Mountains. Did you know? It was made clear that Korea had between 5,000 and 10,000 players, which represented only 0.01% to 0.02% of the population. But despite the small number, progress in the Black Tower was going well. They were already on the 65th floor, which was the second highest world record, losing only to the 66th floor of the United States. And to give a boost, Tabi said that society had its heroes in the form of players, comparing it to a modern-day exploration, akin to discovering new continents in the past. But she spoke directly to the clever ones, calling them the hope of this era, and encouraging them to register as players to become heroes too. After this information show, Gwang-yu turned to Jin-yu and said they were ready for some questions to check the details. He asked if, Jin-yu was indeed awake, meaning alert. Jin-yu confirmed he had already entered the tower and completed some achievements, mentioning the magical crystals he had gathered. Jin-yu got excited and asked which floor Jin-yu had reached. Jin-yu, feeling a bit insecure, replied, I'm around the 10th floor. You know how it is, right? Jin-yu and Mina exchanged glances, wondering if he could possibly be the same guy who had broken the S+ record. Mina, curious, asked if Rio had heard the global announcements that were trending. The guy, trying to act normal, awkwardly recognized the S+ achievements again, making a strange comment about that player being amazing. Jorginho told him to relax, but our boy was left wondering if he just looked nervous, or if he was indeed suspicious. He was shaking like a leaf, that's for sure. Then Gwang-yu decided to explain the contract options. He explained that the government divided players into 2 categories. The first was the elite climbers, comprising about 69% of the climbers, and the second was the general climbing folks, who had their own schemes. The elite worked closely with the management agency of the clever ones, whose mission was to ascend high floors, gaining benefits like protection within the tower. Outside the tower, they were just ordinary people without special status. The elite team also received an annual base salary. Rio panicked, thinking that if they discovered this guy was the holder of the S+ record, he would simply become an icon surrounded by reporters. Like, that was the last thing he wanted, right? He quickly said his goodbyes, making it clear that he wanted nothing to do with it. Mina was there, watching everything, noticing that many players had stopped climbing to farm safely, and suspected, because it was rare to see someone refusing the tone to their face. The path of the elite, during this whole selection process, she heard as one of cowardice, thinking that even if he tried, he would be the kind of person they would exclude for lacking grit. And Juryu, respecting the Juro school, asked him to enter the tower as the last step to confirm that he had truly awakened. Juryu could only agree. The genius commented that it would be a shame to waste the daily entry, and suggested that he go for an achievement while he was inside, like what most people did. Even Juryu hesitated, feeling that they were making an effort to confirm whether this guy was really ranked, but he decided to clear a floor and warned that he usually used, almost all the time, it could take up to 2 hours. Mina said all good, since it was their job, not that he needed to hurry. Then Juryu casually told them to watch TV until he returned and disappeared back to his room. Gwang-yu, curious, asked Mina if she thought Juryu had really woken up for real. Mina, somewhat uncertain, commented that she wasn't sure, but but thought the kid was being quite shy and bet that he would give up on the 11th floor. She also mentioned that she had already passed through there, and that floors 11 to 15 were, in fact, a trial by fire for the players, testing even their last fears. Then Gwang Yu launched the long-tailed millipedes. Mina confirmed, explaining that although it wasn't very difficult to face, they were too disgusting, and you had to exterminate 100 of them. Gwang Yu, with his humorous view, commented that just looking at him was already frightening, total panic. Mina thought that poor Juryu, all terrified, would end up retreating to the safe zone and abandoning the mission. And in that, Gwang Yu hit the nail on the head by agreeing that his guess was right. Until then, he decided to call the director to inform him that case was yet another dead end inside the tower. Then Jorel called Kossack. Kossack gave his salute and thanked for the call. Soon, the system window popped up, showing that the mission for the 11th floor was to take down 100 millipedes in 3 hours, with death or abandonment as conditions for failure. Jorel groaned in frustration at the idea of having to deal with these millipedes, and even more, with their quantity. No, Kossack confidently stated that he would resolve this quickly. Jury noted that it would normally take about 5 minutes to eliminate 100 millipedes, but he instructed Kossack to hunt slowly, taking at least an hour to avoid leaving any trace of S. More, right? No, the crazy guy confessed that he had eyes watching from outside and said he would even cancel the summon from inside the tower that day. Kossack gave a thumbs up, indicating that he understood the strategy. Jury, who deep down thought that just being inside the tower was already a victory, but now his mission was to break the siege. With a messy record, it was in his hands. Zack began to blow up the millipedes one by one. Jorel thought that finally, things would start to go well, when out of nowhere, he saw a centipede right beneath him and simply froze in terror, unable to move. "My brother, these guys are so cowardly," Kossack shouted that he was going to save his summoner from the centipedes and quickly cut down a few. Juriyuki complained that Kossack was, attacking too fast and ordered him to slow down. Kossack was not having it and said that Juriyuki's life came first. And wow, the guy warned the beast not to get himself killed on the mission. Then, a system notification popped up announcing that they had achieved an S rank on the 11th floor of the Black Tower of Korea, earning a platinum badge and unlocking access to the 12th floor. Another notification confirmed the exit from the Black Tower. Jury, who was furious, saw Kossack apologizing. Back in the room, Minar and Gwang Yu were waiting when the system window notified that Junyu had achieved an S rank. On the 11th floor, moments later, Junyu appeared. Both were in shock when Minar noticed that the S rank showed up almost at the same time as the player Bong arrived. Junyu took a deep breath and said he really didn't want to do this. He let slip that the two would have to be silenced. Behind them, Kossack lunged ready to attack. Jorel ordered Kossack to tie up the mine and the gang, instead of trying to contain them. Kossack cut off their heads right away. Jorel was in total shock and screamed, internally, questioning if he had ever ordered Kossack to do that. "My brother, the guy is so panicked." Jury apologized to Minar and Gwang Yu. Suddenly, everything began to crumble. Jury let out a heavy sigh, realizing that the whole scene had just been his imagination. Back to reality, Minar and Gwang Yu noticed that he looked unwell and asked if he was okay, as he suddenly started to sweat cold. Jorel apologized, saying that everything was fine, but inside the kid's head, he recognized that he was getting paranoid without even realizing it. Gwang Yu continued the conversation and explained once again that the elite team really needed talents like player Bong. Joe reacted uncomfortably and said that the situation seemed a bit strange, didn't it? He suggested that there might be a misunderstanding and tried to say that his performance on the 11th floor must have coincided with another player's. He exaggerated his reaction, acting as if the coincidence was a huge shock. Yonggu, in turn, noticed that the timing seemed a bit too perfect. Junyu rushed to defend his innocence, stumbling over his words and apologizing, justifying that his way of speaking had influenced things. He reaffirmed that he held no responsibility as Youngyu began to press him, nervously laughing and repeating that it wasn't him who said that. Gwang Yu accepted his answer and went on to show an elite contract card. Jury looked at him and asked if that was really the card he had requested, instead of a regular contract. Gwang Yu explained that it was a rare contract in the industry. Known as the Ultra Elite Contract, it came with an annual salary of $12 billion. Wow! It also offered some real estate benefits, VIP treatment, a complete security team, and immunity privileges. The guy was almost a king. For real. Jojo realized that this thing was in fact a kind of blank check, you know? He understood that it wasn't much different from nobility. I said, "What's up?" Guang Yu kept on the same vibe, asserting in his usual way that, at that moment, the only player who could enjoy such a papacy was Yujuman, #1 in South Korea. Then he casually mentioned that the contract was a machine for insane advantages. Everything the state could offer was right there, in the palm of his hand. But Rio, our guy, didn't think twice, slammed his hand on the table, and exclaimed a resounding, "I don't want it." He wasn't interested in being a player unless it was with a standard contract. That was what he wanted. Guang Yu, somewhat perplexed, questioned the reason for such fervor in the refusal. Ju Yu, with his mind racing, explained that he didn't want to be the focus of all those dark circles, cameras, and reporters. This guy definitely didn't like the spotlight. After all, being the center of attention was brutal pressure, a pressure that made his heart nearly explode. Mina and Guang Yu, picking up on the vibe, realized that our buddy was an introvert, and it was better to give him some space, right? Take a step back. Then Guang Yu, showing some serious empathy, agreed to go for a standard contract instead. They wrapped things up with a handshake and left. Rio kept thinking that anyone on the outside would see the situation and feel frustrated. He was sure people would say he should just grab the elite contract and enjoy life, but he knew it was okay to deal with a responsibility as big as a train. A VIP contract, but slowing down the excursions on the upper floors wasn't an option. Teams existed to venture into the unexplored floors, and that was something he didn't want. Oh man, I just wanted a quiet life, better than before, you know? He didn't want a life full of loan sharks chasing him, he just wanted to chill. I get that guy. Then the scene took a turn and ended up in the buzz of the awakened management in Hanandong. The commissioner, in full action, confronted Guang Yu, saying that this was a total affront to the initial report and reminded Guang Yu that he had described Jium as shy or someone who didn't want to rise in life. Guang Yu confirmed this, but the commissioner, raising his voice, kept asking how a guy like that could have reached an S rank so high. Guang Yu was then honest and said that Ju Ryu's determination was bizarre, almost shockingly common, meteoric. Even the commissioner allowed himself to be swayed by the idea and ordered Ju Ryu to be summoned, whatever the consequences might be. Ju Ryu, pretending to be upset, stared at Kossack, throwing in his face that he had made the prohibition clear, and yet everything was exposed. Zack, in a fit of apologies, begged, "Oh please, my little master, that's not what I wanted. I just wanted to protect Master Ju Il." Putting pressure on, he warned that if he disobeyed again, it would be the end of the line. This guy could give him a star, that's for sure, or even be discharged, meaning he would be uninvited. Kossack took the hint and repeated his apology, already getting the message. Then a system window appeared announcing that they had entered the 12th floor of the Black Tower in South Korea. The mission was to defeat 20 raccoons armed with ice spears in about 3 hours. Our system showed 0 out of 20 defeated, and if they failed, well, it was death or mission abandonment. They entered the floor, and the drop in temperature was absurd. Ju Ryu, already in the mood, made a suggestion to Kossack to act cautiously. Kossack affirmed that he was in. Ju Ryu calmed down, noticing that Kossack was responding without hesitation, and thought that maybe, in this way, it would be good. If he could clear the 12th floor without a hitch, it was possible that the agency would lose interest. But the cold, that son of a gun, was unbearable. My brother, I love a little chill. Kossack, noticing the atmosphere was heavy, even asked Juryu if he was feeling cold. Then Kossack, in a swift move, started taking down the bear monsters one by one to speed things up and take Juryu to a warmer spot. And wouldn't you know it, the 12th floor was cleared? Juryu was just a bit disappointed again. Wow, that was really fast, wasn't it? At this point, Guang Yu, visibly shocked, questioned whether it was true that they had cleared the floor so quickly. Our boy confirmed it and said that the 13th floor might be quite a tough one. Zack told everyone to relax, chill out, and suggested watching TV. I swear, without control, Juro cried a river and blurted out that there wouldn't be any TV due to disobedience. Now then, heading towards the 13th floor of the tower, Kossack, this guy is a killer ninja, flew forward and cleared the 13th floor in the snap of a finger. Wow. After that, he went to the 14th floor and cleared the monsters there too, without mercy. Later, Junho checked their stuff and found that the profit from the sale of the magic stones was around 2.75 million Korean coins, already with a deduction of 35%. The standard player support fund amounted to 2 million. The stones from floors 11 to 14 weighed 5 kilos, worth a mere 2.5 million. Juro realized that in just 14 days, they had accumulated about 10 million. He concluded that if they made it to the 20th floor without hassle, the reward for the stones would be at least 2 kilos. If the agency handled the sale, that would mean 1 million a day, free of fees or taxes, a crazy net salary, like 1 million a day. My brother, oh man, 1 million a day, I would be satisfied, right? I don't know if there's a guy here in Brazil making that kind kind of money, like $1 million a day. Is there? I think there is, right? The guy dreamed of a future with money flowing in. So around $30 million a month, and decided that the next day he would quit his part-time job. Then, he called Kossack one more time. Kossack, in extreme humility, he knelt down and, with a sincere talk, acknowledged that he had made a huge mistake with a disobedience of the hardcore level type. He confessed that he was lost, not knowing what to do. From the 15th floor, he asked to clean comfortably, and the river agreed and decided that it wouldn't keep giving orders to go too slow. He knew that the agency was already aware of everything. Anyway, right? No way, man. In his mind, he realized that the 15th floor could also be more like the clean one. He would earn 15 platinum badges. That was an absurd chance to gain another benefit. This guy admitted that the agency was starting to catch on, thinking that the more benefits he accumulated, the safer he would feel. Then, June confirmed the departure, and the two entered the 15th floor. The goblins appeared. June was stunned. It was the first time he had seen these creatures. Kossack told him to hide properly, using his stealth skill, and went on to take down each goblin. On the floor, all silently. What Joryu saw was simply too insane. He was shocked by his partner's ability. After this adventure, they returned home, and Joryu went straight to check his inventory. Upon checking, he was buzzing with excitement as he saw that he had achieved 15 silver badges. When he realized that the condition had been activated, his heart raced. With 5 badges, he unlocked the trait enhancement benefit. With 10 badges came another benefit, skill copying. And now, upon collecting the 15 badges, the anticipation was huge to see what benefit would come. By exchanging the 15 platinum badges, Manhwa finally received the energy shield bracelet. As soon as he put it on his wrist, a pop-up notification appeared, revealing that it was an energy shield kit. The notification stated that the bracelet protects the user with a shield that absorbs incoming damage, but this shield disappears after absorbing a fixed amount of damage and requires a 5-hour cooldown. Oh, and it adjusts automatically to the user's level. Crazy type, my brother. And when it activated, Hulk was all covered up in an energy armor, but of course the armor soon became invisible, only leaving a sense of its presence. While analyzing the bracelet, Hulk started to think about how much it would be worth outside the tower. He even considered selling it for a ridiculously high price and abandoning this whole tower climbing thing, but soon realized that would be a huge loss, as climbing the tower promised much better rewards. With that in mind, he turns to Kossack and asks if there's a quick way to get to the 16th floor. Kossack, who was more focused on the TV, responds that he can't guarantee anything. Wow, that answer caught Joryu by surprise, and he started thinking about what he would do next. Kossack, noticing his friend's expression, conjures a cookie and asks what's wrong. Look, Joryu once again looks at the bracelet and reconsiders if he would sell it. And then the scene changes to the director's office. The director asks Gwang and Minar how long it has been since the cleaner announcement stopped coming up. Mina answers that it's been exactly half a month. Gwang Yu realizes that progress is stalling on the 15th floor. The director becomes concerned and notes that the heavens are blind to let such great talent be dismissed for such a shy player. Gwang Yu ends up saying that the difficulty increases significantly starting from the 16th floor, but player Bong hasn't given up. At that moment, Gwang Yu receives information on his cell phone and discovers that Jean Hill went to the Awakening Management Office and wants to use the player store. Well, that information leaves the director in total shock. The director wonders if Jean Hill has already discovered the treasure on the 15th floor. The guy confirms and says that Jean Hill went there earlier for a check and came back empty-handed. The director gets angry, criticizing that they are judging player Bong without knowing the whole truth. He orders that they support any item Joryu wants and offer it at a friendly price. Then the scene changes to a flashback from 15 days ago. In this flashback, we see Kossack, who is shocked to hear Joe's order. Ryuk, Gil, and Rick lift their shirts and ask Kossack to stab him in the stomach. Kossack, feeling insecure, says that Gil and Rick don't want to be friends anymore. It's better if he dies soon. But he just can't do that, right? Gil Ricky tries to explain that he only asked him to give a little stab. Just that, a little stab. Man, chill bro, he's just testing the energy shield. But Kossack shakes his head, saying he can't, insisting that he can't think straight. At that moment, Gil Ricky takes the knife from Kossack's hand and stabs himself, leaving the dude completely shocked. And the weirdest part is that he stabbed himself without triggering the energy shield. Man, that guy is really dumb. This guy is really smart, no doubt. Goza starts to scream, "Are you crazy, my brother?" I swear he asks him to calm down. Meanwhile, he quickly uses a healing potion on the wound and flies off, healed. My brother, Kossack, grabs Ju, who begs him to never do that again. Joe agrees, right? Of course he would agree, right? And he asks Kossack to finish the hunt. Kossack also agrees and climbs up some trees maze where there were a bunch of goblins. He starts taking them out one by one. And so, while Kossack deals with the goblins, John Ryuk hides behind the bushes. He decides that while Kossack clears the floor, he will take the opportunity to practice his own skills. Then our guy activates his energy power and uses the famous shadow step. As soon as he activates this thing, his head starts to shake, and all of a sudden, he moves several steps at an absurdly insane speed. My brother Ju is shocked by this speed. The guy really didn't expect where this would lead, and to make things better, he manages to cover a huge distance in just 3 swift movements, which leaves the kid incredibly happy. This happens because he is finally starting to figure out how Kossack fights and maneuvers. When he tries to move a little further, he spots a goblin hiding among the bushes. The goblin also notices Ryuk's presence. Wow, my brother. Now the trouble is about to start. It was clear that he was hiding from Kossack, waiting for a chance to attack. Suddenly, the goblin lunges at Jae-young, who is completely terrified, and without thinking, raises his hand to protect himself. A shield sprouts around his body, and with that, the goblin's bite doesn't even scratch him. My brother doesn't even tickle him. It's then that Jae-young delivers a monstrous kick to the goblin, sending it flying straight into the battlefield where Kossack was. Kossack notices the scene immediately, without losing his fighting rhythm, and slices the goblin in half with his dagger. After that, he turns to Jae-young, calls his name, and quickly runs in his direction. When he arrives, he asks if he is okay. Jae-young, still in shock from his own abilities, can barely respond and starts to stutter. Kossack begins to inspect Jae-young's body to check if he's taken any damage during the fight. Kossack even sniffs under Jae-young's arms, which annoys him greatly, and he says that everything is fine, despite the bad smell, right? Kossack gets angry at Jae-young's response and starts complaining, reminding him that he had warned the summoner Bong several times to keep Jae-young safe, but he never listens. This guy is too stubborn. With Kossack's anger, Jae-young starts to apologize. Then, we return to a flashback summary. For 15 days, the 15th floor kept repeating. Jae-young was adapting to his abilities. In the meantime, he accumulated mana stones weighing 22.5 kilograms, which would be worth about 11 million Korean won. The scene then shows the day. Jae-young called Gobang to use the player store. Gobang informs Jae-young that the items are being sent directly to his home. A bit agitated, Jae-young says he can go there personally, but Jae-young doesn't allow that. He states that this benefit is only for general contractors. Then our boy Jae-young ends up agreeing. In the next scene, Jae-young arrives at the management office, a fancy car. As soon as he gets out of the car, he runs into Jang Lee at the door. Jang Lee warmly greets him, saying that it's been a long time since they last saw each other, and promptly invites Jae-young to enter the management office. Jang Yu looks a bit surprised. With the VIP treatment he is receiving, he places his hand on the system panel, and in a fraction of a second, his account information is registered, granting him permanent access to the player's store. The Angio asks if Jae-young needs a guide for the store, but he declines. Then, shortly after, he moves toward the store, where he again needs to register his account information to open the door. After entering, Jae-young observes the luxurious interior of the store, but strangely, there is no one around, which confuses him. He starts to snoop around the items, all of which look absurdly expensive. After thinking for a bit, he decides to sell his mana stones first. After the sale, Jae-young spots an item he likes, which costs around 11,250,000 Korean coins, and he immediately decides to buy it. The staff conducts the transaction quickly. After the purchase, Jae-young leaves the store and heads home. In the next scene, the director asks Gwang-yu if player Bong made the purchases as he should. Gwang-yu answers that yes, and that all the other players were barred from entering the store, allowing player Bong to feel at ease. The director wants to know about the prices, and Gwang-yu updates that the team was instructed to apply a 90% discount, as the shy guy might find free items burdensome. The director is pleased with how Gwang-yu handled the situation. The scene shifts to our boy at night. Look, with a 90% discount, he already managed to get a lover's saw for just 2 million, and also picked up smooth animal leather boots for 3 million after the same discount. By this point, he is starting to feel that itch of suspicion, because, based on what he heard, normal items in the store usually start at high prices like 20 million, 30 million, or even more. The team leader, Gwang-yu, still committed to him personally. He wonders how this is possible, especially considering his appearance. Still, he is curious. Jae-young then takes a look at his shield bracelet, and it's something that gets him excited because now he can participate in battles alongside Kossack the next day. Jae-young summons Kossack, Kossack greets him once more and says, "We're still on the 15th floor, seriously." "All right," Jae-young, with that sparkle in his eyes, replies that actually, now he wants to go up to the 16th floor because he's got everything he needed. "That's it, let me cut in here feeling beyond happy." Then, right after that, Jae-young decides to make a random summoning, something he hadn't done in a while. As soon as he activates the summoning, a huge and bright light ignites in front of them, and the outline of a human figure begins to form. The figure grows, and in a burst of astonishment, both Jae-young and Kossack freeze. The creature becomes so colossal that the upper floor of Jae-young's house simply collapses, its head breaking through the ceiling. "Are you crazy, bro? This guy is really huge, huh?" Jae-young, in total shock, can't process what kind of creature he accidentally summoned. And look at that, it doesn't stop there. To make matters worse, he starts to cry upon seeing that his rented room has turned into a total wreckage. Dude, but you know this guy is rich, right? So, he'll definitely pay for this easily. A pair of muscular arms appears, followed by a gigantic human body manifesting in the limited space of what was left of the floor. The monster was so enormous that as soon as it stood up, the upper floor completely caved in. Jae-young can only look at that monstrosity confused, not knowing if he had summoned a human or a giant cursed beast. This guy is in an episode of Attack on Titan, and meanwhile, the giant begins to push its head through the hole it made. Then, out of nowhere, Kossack steps forward, without a second thought, and kicks the monster, telling it to calm down. Jae-young is left speechless by Kossack's quick reaction. Without giving our hero a chance to speak, Kossack already sends a direct kick to the monster's face, attacking mercilessly. Kossack doesn't hesitate, and turning to Jae-young, complains that he hadn't summoned anyone else. He vents that the monster only came to ruin his life and continues to attack relentlessly. When the human creature finally looks back at Kossack, he acts like a stern veteran and demands that the monster lowers its eyes. This scene, a chill runs through Jae-young's stomach as he wonders if they could have some kind of connection. Do these guys know each other? The monster simply absorbs Kossack's blows as if they were mosquito bites, you know? Not feeling anything. And it's obvious that this makes Kossack even more irritated. He pulls out his sword and threatens the giant, saying that before he finishes the conversation, he will chop the creature's head off and tie a ribbon around it. That's typical of this guy, right? No doubt it's his trademark. But in a moment, just as he raises his sword to attack, Jae-young steps in front and orders everyone to stop. The second he does that, Kossack freezes and gives a sincere smile. Oh dear, Jae-young, looking at the mess around him, can't hold back the tears as he realizes he's lost the roof and will have to spend a fortune to fix it. He pleads for the two to be careful inside the house, or they'll break even more than what's already broken. After that, Jae-young asks Kossack to chill for a while, explaining that he wants to try to get the giant and the second summoning to meet. Kossack lets out a sarcastic laugh and says that there's no reason for the monster to know anything about its summoner. Jae-young firmly states that this giant being doesn't even know the 3 laws. When Kossack hears this, he becomes even more confused, and the monster, a North in turn, says that remembering the 3 laws isn't a big deal. Therefore, Kossack demands that the monster explain the 3 laws. The creature can't give a satisfactory answer, which causes Zack to turn to Jae-young and say that he truly summoned such a gigantic and useless being that's good for nothing. Zack then suggests that the newly summoned should be taken down immediately, and maybe he is the right guy to do it, going further and stating that it needs to be something so drastic that not even in 1,000 summons would the guy appear again. Are you crazy? Imagine if it were a revenge. As he speaks, smoke begins to rise from the humanoid monster's head, and there's already one observing this in complete shock. Soon after, a system window appears in front of him, detailing the information about the second summoning. The catalog reveals that the creature is a flesh shield from the Great Plains tribe and also comes loaded with statistics. Its name, unfortunately, is unknown. The graduation is rare, wild warrior-type human. And look at that, it even has a manifestation limit of 10 hours. And its satisfaction rating, well, it's 0. The waiting time for reinvocation is a mere 3 hours, but only after releasing the monster. All this data only worsens the situation and sinks Jae-young deeper into despair. He then starts to think that releasing this invocation and waiting for the next one might be a good plan. He then asks the newly summoned creature its name, but the creature has already forgotten everything. Then he tries to find out why it was called, but the being also has no idea, right? No. And so, Jay continues to interrogate the monster about the tower, but the answer is once again a complete void, a vacuum. The situation is so absurd that he can't believe what's happening, and the frustration, well, my friend, just grows. In the end, he decides to check the details of the invocation, just as he did before, and ends up accessing Kossack's memories. Similarly, he dives into the memories of the new summon at lightning speed. A flashback appears, and it seems he is in a different dimension. Everything changes, and he appears in a mountainous area under the radiant sunlight, with a vast and beautiful land extending peacefully. In this place, a monster resembling a human was joyfully playing with nature, displaying a cheerful and carefree personality. Chill, man. Butterflies were dancing around that behemoth, and the sight of them filled the creature with pure happiness. This guy, in fact, seemed to have found his purpose. And then, in that moment, the true essence of the trickster revealed itself. He was a warrior of the Great Plains tribe, a guy who breathed nature. Look, in the past, he had a pure soul. It turns out that true happiness was just being one with nature. But without that innocence, his physical stats were off the charts. Out of nowhere, giant wolves appeared, thinking they were the kings of the jungle, and attacked an ostensible human. But the guy, full of simplicity and kindness, decided to play with the wolves instead of fighting. His touch was so absurd that the wolves began to fear him. Goodness, the guy isn't fierce, right? Despite having a lot of strength, he was quite stubborn. But one day, someone from the imperial palace showed up asking his name. But by then he had forgotten even his own name. In the end, the wild warrior ended up as a human shield in a battle against the Hydra. With his resilient body, he endured the creature's acidic breath and charged forward, tearing the Hydra's heads off one by one, not even realizing that his own skin was melting. All of this for a single thought: to protect his brothers. But things got complicated. Eventually, he was overcome by the poison and faced the greatest disappointments, surrounded by the laughter of those he thought were his friends. Until his last breath, he heard no words of recognition for his actions. Everyone just laughed as if he were a burden that had finally been lifted off their backs. June stood there staring at the bones of that monster, and wow, my brother was stunned to uncover his entire story. An immense sadness overwhelmed Jerry. He had already decided to move forward with this new summoning and chose to embrace the warrior as a true companion. Now, the two would climb the tower together. When Johnny extended his hand, the new summon did the same and shook it firmly. Johnny then focused on giving a name to the new ally. He suggested Yaman or Gobang and encouraged the monster to choose. At first, Gobang seemed a bit lost, but later, when asked again, he chose with a smile, Golang. Joril asked Gobang to trust him, explaining that he would now be responsible for him. Gobang placed all his faith in his summoner. Then Joinung turned his gaze to Kossack and stated that from now on, the three of them were comrades and would work together. Kossack, who was not at all pleased with the idea, was in shock, as Joinung had chosen a comrade as dear as Gobang. After recovering, Kossack took a deep breath and decided he would accept the situation. He was determined to turn Gobang into someone real, despite his doubts. Strengthened by Kossack's words, Jaryung began to encourage him. Kossack then gave Gobang a light kick on the leg and demanded that he say something. With a confused expression, Gobang merely nodded, and that was enough for Kossack to scold him. "Don't mimic my reactions, you bizarre monster." Gimo could hardly believe the situation. A timid beta on top of that. "Are you kidding me? Look at this." And now a troubled killer with a half-torn meat shield. Now it was the comrades following together. When you look closely, it seemed like they were creating a perfect recipe for a complete disaster. Soon, the three were seen advancing towards the 16th floor, filled with expectations. Jwang Hyun decided that in this mission, he would also give his best. Upon entering the mission on the 16th floor, the objective was clear: eliminate 30 patrolling goblins in just 5 hours. If the count of patrolling goblins did not reach 0, the consequences would be death or mission failure. Kossack positioned himself at the front, and Jaryung followed behind Gobang, acting as a living shield. As they continued, Kossack asked Jaryung to activate his protective barrier, warning that an unexpected attack from the enemies could cause serious injuries. Jaryung understood the severity of the situation and delved deeper into the forest. Kossack explained that the goblins shot poisoned needles and that they were ready to ambush them at any moment. "Those needles? I think they're similar to darts, right?" Quickly, they spotted several goblins hiding around, watching silently as Jaryung and Kossack passed by. One of the goblins fired a needle towards Jaryung, but Kossack swiftly, like a lightning bolt, he grabbed the needle before it could do any damage. A shock swept over Jaryung as he saw all the goblins attacking together, as if they were a well-coordinated team. Kossack told Jaryung to dodge and hide in the bushes while he faced the goblins head-on. Jaryung was impressed by the intelligence of these monsters, who were setting up a well-organized ambush. He estimated that there were about 50 goblins in total. Then, suddenly, Jaryung noticed Goblang standing there and urged his buddy to attack the goblins. Goblang, who looked very serious, performed everything with great focus and effort. Meanwhile, Kossack noticed his eyes shining intensely, and he launched himself forward, the ground trembling beneath his feet. He jumped high like a rocket. "My brother!" A Upon seeing that, the goblins began to flee in panic, scattering in every direction. The legs to criticize. No, Kossack's attention soon shifted to the water. Bang! But what he didn't expect was the weight of the impact that goblin made as he crashed down on the goblins. The hit was so strong it sent Kossack flying. My brother, this left Jae-young like a fallen fish, with Gobang's insane power. Wow, this guy is really strong, huh? The goblins attacked Gobang, launching poisoned needles, but they didn't even come close to scratching our giant. With that meat shield, you gotta be kidding, it was so strong. Following Jae-young's orders, Gobang began to massacre the goblins, without hesitation and not a trace of mercy in his eyes. What Jae-young saw about Gobang's abilities was simply shocking. My brother, the dude was doing so well that he wondered how he could have such a low rank, like just R, right? In his view, Gobang deserved at least an S, or even SS. But he soon realized that the low ranking was due to Gobang not being very smart, you know? This guy's focus was strength. In the next scene, after the mess was cleared, there was Gobang holding a huge handful of chicken, looking like the happiest being in the world. And he, not knowing how to speak properly, kept calling it kitchen repeatedly, putting on a show of satisfaction with each bite. The way the guy talked was so funny that even Junho and Kossack couldn't hold back their laughter. My brother Kossack, seeing the scene, quickly told Gobang to feel free to dig in. But of course, like any caring buddy, he decided to give Gobang a gentle pat on the head while correcting his pronunciation, asking him to eat slowly, piece by piece. After the chicken, Kossack couldn't believe how spicy the dish was. My brother, the guy, doesn't like spicy food. Just like the bank teasing, he remarked that it was hilarious to see a killer like Kossack scared of a little spice, right? On the plate, he looked like a complete fool, right? While watching the bizarre contest between the two, Jae-young wondered if it was possible for them to actually become friends. And then Bang, with all that innocence, even called Jae-young a good person, which left Jae-young scratching his head, not knowing whether to laugh or be confused. Bang, in his peculiar way, kept mispronouncing chicken, starting to say that Jerry had brought him back to life with that delicious chicken. Hulk quickly got real, saying that compared to the effort Gobang put in that day, a simple chicken didn't mean anything. He even said that if anything were to happen to him, he would blindly trust Gobang. But before the conversation could continue, Kossack kicked Gobang in the face, crossing in front of Hulk's head just to correct his pronunciation again, leaving him bewildered. The guy is mean, man. He turned to Kossack, throwing the question into the air, how could he intimidate someone who was eating so calmly? Zach immediately apologized, my brother, and explained what he thought, that like Bang, he just needed a touch of education. You know this guy is good at educating, right? People have to learn quickly from this guy. Otherwise, oh, you know about the little tape, right? In the head. But Gobang, completely oblivious to the conversation, kept devouring his chicken, hidden in his own head, let's say, in a trance. Kossack, seeing that, got pissed off but decided to swallow his anger and stay in his corner. Then, the next day, the three of them went up to the 7th floor of the Black Tower of Korea, pouring down that was already at level 17. He was feeling powerful at that moment. It was as if insane energy was vibrating inside him and his heart was racing. With renewed determination, he thought that in this fight he would throw himself into the front line alongside Kossack Gobang. As they walked towards the monsters, Kossack expressed his complaint that people tended to get arrogant even before reaching level 20. Kossack swore that Jae-young wouldn't turn out like that, you know? Here we go, just like Bang, playing his part along with Kossack, asking Jae-young to stay calm with them. But Kossack and Gobang quickly cut Jae-young's illusions. Then, the mission for the 17th floor arose. Honestly, they had to defeat the trifling 30 goblin warriors. Only then did the goblin warriors appear, and Jae-young thought he was hallucinating. How was that possible? He had seen those guys in a video before, but in person it was a whole different story, my friend. He knew that those 30 goblins had the same strength as a trifling 90 humans, and were top-notch strategists, that's for sure. Before entering, this guy had studied the guide well, which recommended retreating to the safe zone when the goblins emerged and waiting a while before charging in. At that moment, the goblins would spread into 3 lines, so he began to think calmly. While diving into his thoughts, he remembered a strategy. It was to lure 3 at a time and eliminate them, a tactic that, although good, took time. After this reflection, he called Gobang, who immediately smiled confidently. Jae-young pointed forward and ordered Gobang to advance. As soon as our boy heard the voice, Gobang roared like a fierce beast and began to unleash all his power. Jae-young felt full confidence that, with Gobang by his side, they would crush it on the 20th floor. Smiling, Jae-young gave his next order. Gobang, destroy all those bugs, as he sent you. This fierce mission, he began to think about how Gobang could shine. Useful from now on, are you crazy? This flesh shield is proving to be more than just a shield. The guy is a monster. So, the mission on the 17th floor is to defeat 30 goblin warriors quickly. Our protagonist calls for Mr. Gobang. He is quickly summoned, asking what the order is, sir. Our boy simply tells him to wipe out all the goblins, which lets out a deafening roar and charges at all the goblins, who are left confused about where this warrior came from. But the goblins, without fear, command everyone to prepare for the attack. Just like the bank, quick and fearless, he advances and begins to massacre all the goblins there, moving forward and defeating one by one. The goblin warriors all fall to the ground, while our boy watches the insane performance of this monster in strategy. And tactics only work when the categories have similar weights. Against a tank, this isn't going to work at all. After all, they wouldn't have the slightest chance against a tank. The system continues to alert that he achieved rank S and more on the 17th floor of the Black Tower, and also received an S reward and another platinum badge. Ah, he's very happy. Incredible. Suddenly, our assassin warrior is shocked to realize how strong Gobang is. They now advance to Mission 18. They also have to defeat 30 assassin goblins. This time, when they enter the area, they feel an entirely different pressure from before. But still, quickly, our protagonist commands Gobang to dash out and kill everyone. Unlike the last times, these goblins are not warrior goblins, but assassin goblins, as has been mentioned. In other words, these goblins are fast and hide. Surprisingly, they are the monsters that use stealth abilities. Gobang embraces all the goblins, but quickly realizes that he didn't catch any. He looks around and wonders, where are the goblins he was supposed to catch? Our boy is also confused. Suddenly, he feels that they are still nearby. He tries to grab them, but catches no one. He starts to scream and gets angry. Asking them to show up, assassins are truly cowards. He starts shouting and lets out a scream that shakes the entire forest. A young assassin begins to laugh, saying it is terrible suffering. It was that ignorant bastard Gobang's strategy. Until now, right? No. Perhaps now it's his turn to elegantly purify our boy's eyes. So he activates the shadow steps, thinking that those goblins using stealth are nothing compared to his stealth. He starts to locate all the goblins and kill them one by one. He moves from 6 to 7, from 8 to 9, and reaches 10 extremely quickly. Wow, Kossack is really good, huh? Our boy realizes that Kossack really took the bait. This was all part of his plan. As he kills the goblins, he passes by Gobang and kicks him in the head. Zach was getting anxious because his screen time had decreased thanks to the old bank. And now our boy managed to awaken his competitive spirit. As the two work, our boy thinks that they will work hard and earn those badges for him. The guy is really happy. He doesn't need to do anything. He needs to keep improving his amazing skills with the advantages, right? He then quickly pulls out the hammer while saying he is already around level 18 and maybe now it's his turn. Then he quickly turns into a wild horse. Wow, he checked all the step-by-step information before entering floor 18. The goblin assassin's stealth skill is low level. If he concentrates enough, he can detect all movements. Nothing to fear, because he practiced the shadow step quite enough while he repeated floor 15. Then he quickly jumps and finds the first goblin, but before finishing off the goblin, he missteps, and the goblin dodges his attack. Oops. His balance, as always, betrayed him, but the hammer still strikes the goblin's head, and finally he completed his condition. He has already killed 10 assassin goblins. He thinks he caught it just as planned, right? I think it was close, right? Anyway, the first successful hunt on the 18th floor, but behind him was another goblin getting ready to kill him, and at the last second, he was saved by our hero Kossack. And now he has already killed 18 killer goblins, very good. And suddenly he's already at 25, just 5 more to go. And now, 27, now only 3 more left. But suddenly, there's a goblin hitting everything on the ground and exploding goblins, lifting them up while shouting that goblins will keep helping no matter what happens. Kossack says the goblin is in his way. He'd better get out of there since he's against everything alone. Suddenly, Kossack wonders, where's the summoner? And there he is, running from a goblin. The goblin tries to attack him, but he manages to dodge quickly. Whoa, that was close, huh? That would have been way too dangerous if it weren't for the energy shield. I'm sure he would have been 6 feet under. Then, 2 goblins corner, him in an alley, one in front and another behind. His adrenaline is through the roof, and he manages to dodge both with just a quick crouch. Then he jumps and realizes that the goblins, although strong, are extremely slow to him. Or does it seem like the world has slowed down? Then he quickly turns around and charges at the 2 goblins. With that, he reached the S rank on the 18th floor of the Black Tower. After a while, Kossack continues hunting the summoner, shouting through the forest. And there he is, watching his system screen, and he said he might have been able to kill the last goblin with just 1 hit. Our killer boy starts to cry. Summoner Bong, you're saved. Thank God. Then in the administration room, awakened, a notice quickly appeared. The 18th floor had absolute success. This wasn't just any notice. It was a global notice. The director was extremely happy. That guy is unstoppable. It seems he prepared very well. If it depended on him, this guy would have already revealed to everyone who the person with the record of 18 consecutive floors with an S rank was. Once again in Korea, it's that person over there, but unfortunately, that guy can't do this. Can't say anything, not even as a joke because it's too dangerous. If his identity gets revealed now, right? He knows that too. All he wants to say is that he's proud of himself, right? Now, Bong Jae-hyuk are high-level players that need to be treated with more care than the elite team. A new wind is blowing in the climbing scene of Korea's Black Tower. After an impressive 20-day break, 18 consecutive floors were conquered with grade S by a mysterious player. It's truly an unprecedented record. The story of tower climbing is being rewritten. It's estimated that the mysterious player is currently at level 14. Little do they know that he's almost at 20, right? No, all the news outlets are saying the same thing. Not only the players, but the whole nation is interested in the identity of the player. But who is that boy? Just not too far from there, there's Kossack, sweating bullets, watching all the news. As our boy realizes that Kossack is just sighing, he asks if Kossack has anything to say to him, and Kossack says yes, very quickly. But is it really? He, sweating bullets, says that the speed at which he's executing his talent is fast, right? Then he's like, what? What do you mean? My talent? Surely not. And he tells Kossack to stop flattering him, to stop joking around. But Kossack thinks it's no joke, and remembers that the Shadow Wanderer, which the summoner showed earlier, was a perfect move. Even he would have difficulties copying that, making it even more dangerous. But Kossack tells him that he's not joking. It's really true. He will gradually discover the combat division, and he might actually gain confidence. The danger increases proportionally with that. Being brave is dangerous, and he promised himself from the beginning, right? Safety first, self-preservation. All he asks for is that. He places a hand on our boy's shoulder while the boy says of course he would never do anything dangerous. He just grabbed it, and Kossack, sweating bullets, still says it's fine, but our boy has a bad feeling. Our summoner has the feeling that he's going to cause trouble someday because the guy has talent, damn it. He starts scratching his head and crying, thinking about it. Kossack is in a panic. If things continue like this, our summoner is definitely going to get into trouble. He might even get into an accident while he's almost crying. Gobang is there watching the assassin, curiously almost crying. How pathetic. But then, Kossack delivers a kick right in Gobang's face and shouts that he's going to boil him alive in a pot if he doesn't shut that mouth. The kick was so strong that upon impact he was thrown away, hitting his head on the fridge and even opening it, causing several vegetables and meats to fall out. Damn, these guys even broke our poor protagonist's fridge. So, quickly, he activates his summoning ability and asks everyone to stop and return immediately before they break the entire house. And look, unfortunately, even the precious dish he filled is all over the floor. Damn, it was his mother who prepared that dish. And then, since he messed up the chaos in his house, he thinks that tomorrow he'll clear his mind and maybe he should visit his parents, right? It's been a long time since he went there. So the next morning, he's climbing the stairs. He opens the door saying that his son is there, but he doesn't see anyone in the living room and continues speaking. Hi, Joe, are you here? Then he enters the house and heads to the room where his mother and father are. The father, poor guy, all messed up in bed, but still manages to grumble. After all, this kid visits his parents very few times, and he doesn't live far away. My mother admonishes my father, you better stop saying those things because if the kid doesn't come here, complaining is just going to make him come even less. The kid asks how his hip joints are doing. My father, still grumbling and in a lot of pain, says, what does this kid think? That bones heal so easily? After all, he spent half the day lying down. The kid asks him to stay lying down, but he says it's okay, he can walk a little too. So the boy helps him to the table while his mother says she made stew and his brother went to buy tofu. He'll be back soon. Look at this delicious dish. It seems to have meat, spring onions, and several things I don't recognize, but it's very good. By the way, I'm hungry. Things have been tough at home lately, right? He tells his mother, but she asks him not to worry about them. After all, he has his own life now. The father similarly tells him not to worry. After all, he already has his own problems and his parents have their problems as well, so it won't help. And don't even think about sending money, okay? And he keeps thinking, should I try the waters? Then he whispers, imagine if I woke up at a time like this. Suddenly, he sees his father's plate. His father slams his hand on the table. While he thinks he should have been more subtle, the father starts laughing. You've got no chance, my son. A guy who looks exactly like me. Well, this guy is the type to call his wife to kill. Even cockroaches. Imagine a guy like him entering a tower. No way. Even his brother mocks him. That's the funniest joke he's ever come up with in his life. But the mother isn't laughing, not at all. She says nobody should take pride in these deeds or misdeeds. The mother asks if the boy isn't going to work today, but the boy starts sweating and says, Yeah, I'm off today. But we know he quit his job a while ago. The mother, recognizing her son's face, notices he's lying and she pokes him while he starts stuttering. What do you mean lying to me? I'm not lying. The mother continues saying that she totally trusts her son and he can be honest with her. All she asks this boy to do is not to use loan shark resources. Wow, I think she gave that advice too late, right? My brother, if she only knew the mess this guy was in. Our boy even starts coughing, and guess what comes to his mind? The scene of the loan sharks with bows on their heads. This guy had even forgotten all that, but then quickly he decides to change the subject and asks what happened to mommy's job. She said it all happened because of a rude customer. She went to fix a water purifier, and they asked her to clean all the recyclable waste and food scraps as well. But unfortunately, she couldn't care less about customer feedback. So, she simply criticized them, and then she was fired. That's why this boy's mother is aggressive and brave, a personality that does not tolerate injustices. As for the father, his greatest achievement was asking this girl out, and this guy is the father who fell. Hopelessly in love with a mother like that. Let's face it, this guy is the true definition of a beta male. So, what comes from a beta male? Well, beta male 1 and beta male 2, right? Unfortunately, to the delight of these two, the paternal genes are pathetically stronger than the mother's. And when everyone is laughing at the table, he thinks everyone is worried. So the most obvious thing is to talk about the situation of the awakened ones at another time. Then, just as they are leaving, he hands an envelope to his brother and says, "This is the allowance for mommy and daddy, for him to give to them and make sure they don't get overwhelmed with work." The little brother asks him to wait because he didn't understand anything. But when he sees his brother's face, he immediately realizes that he must be acting this way because he paid his dues last time. So he understands that maybe this guy is too shy to say thank you. He touches the boy's shoulder and says he knows how he feels and it's all good. Can he then comfortably talk about the allowance? He says yes, good. The allowance for mommy and daddy doesn't seem lacking in anything. After that, he is asking for an allowance for himself, right? He is the younger brother, fine. So he sends more money to the boy and tells him not to spend it on frivolous things. He sent a little, the money is good, just the trifling sum of 500,000 Korean coins, or 500,000. So, sometime later, at the Awakened Management, Department of Ranadong-chu, there is our boy looking at that huge building. He was about to go home, but he went there on impulse after seeing his family's situation. The idea of doing this grew drastically in his heart. He remembered one of the agents saying that when he wanted to visit the player's shop, it was better to speak in advance. He already has the ring, the energy barrier, but unfortunately the monsters have also become much stronger as he climbs the floors. And then it would be better to buy a shield too, but that shield is very expensive, the hefty price of 100 million. Wow, what a ripoff. He is earning a lot of money, but he is spending it just as intensely. He thanks the attendant for her time and says that this is a lot for him. Wow, it's expensive. Could it be because they hired a female staff member and he can't speak properly? But it seems that place is crowded. Last time there was no one. The woman kindly recommends a cheaper shield for him, a round hand shield made with an adamantium alloy. This one is tonic, small, light. Even though it's cheap, it has a high repair function. It seems that this shield is very good, made of good materials, and still has high repair and is also cheap. Perfect. He picks up the shield, tests it, and finds it very good. It also matches him so well that he could say the set came along with the dough. He liked it. So how much does it cost? Oh, that's quite a bargain. She told him it's around 40 million, and she can also help with the payment, allowing installments. I don't know, fine. He closes the purchase, swipes his hand on the scanner, and makes the payment. Finally, he bought his shield. He thinks talking to team members is much harder than dealing with goblins. Anyway, mission accomplished. Now he can go home. But as he leaves the shop, a guy, just chilling there, calmly asks if he has been awakened for a long time. He extends his hand and says that he is also a player. Nice to meet him. This guy's name is Choi Rousseau. He finds this guy's entrance a bit strange, right? He then greets the boy and says he is Johnny. The boy says he goes to that shop every day and has never seen that guy there. And if it's not rude, he asks which floor he is on. After all, he is already on the 3rd floor, but our boy said that he is on the floor. And number 15, wow, it's really high. The guy gets euphoric quickly. He said that if you need him to solve anything, just count on him. But our boy said that everything is cool over there too. The guy keeps saying that if he needs anything from the store and not the tower, he should talk to him so he doesn't get it wrong, right? 15. So until next time. It seems like that over there is the bold interpersonal infiltration ability of a fascinating group member. He continues, reflecting in his thoughts that at this level he probably has a girlfriend too, right? No, he's just jealous, that's for sure. So as evening falls, he keeps checking his status. Name, good Juriyuki, affiliation, Black Tower, level 19, simultaneous summons. 2. Skill, designated summoning trait, a random summon. Develop general skills, enter the tower once a day, that whole thing. He realizes that his level is 19. Now he can challenge the 19th floor, but before that, he should call Kossack and maybe reach an agreement, right? No, cool. So he decides to summon John Kossack. The guy arrives already stressed. All right, loyalty. Thanks for the evaluation. The guy is fuming, but our boy starts to say that he's buying a shield too. A necklace that falls to the ground while thinking that our boy is really enjoying buying armor, right? Now this guy even has a shield. Does he really need to do this? But our boy says he needs to prioritize his safety as much as possible. But Kossack says that the former summoner said the same thing. Oh man, he tells the guy not to worry, after all he's a coward. If the climb gets tough, he'll give up immediately and everything will be fine. Kossack asks our boy to make a promise to him. Never take the initiative to attack. So our boy takes his hand, squeezes it, and says he promises. And Kossack said that if things get tough, sacrifice me, and also the giant meatball we have. In other words, Gobang. But also, if he prefers, he can. Sacrifice Gobang first. Okay, understood. So all they have to do is start cleaning, but before that, he smells something strange and very pleasing. It also seems like the guy bought some dumplings to give to the Kossack. Look at that, the guy loves dumplings. He then starts eating while thinking that our boy took good care of him and is even taking care of our meat giant as well. He grabs one of the meat dumplings and tosses it into his mouth, but before the dumpling could reach his mouth, he unsummons the summoning and takes the dumpling back. He asks whom he holds a grudge against. The Kossack, sealed, says he has no grudges against anyone, but apparently there's someone out there, and that guy is not joking around. This guy exudes a terrifying and murderous aura and is overflowing with killing intent. That's right. So he quickly decides to hide along with the Kossack, using the energy barrier to absorb any damage that might come his way. But suddenly something comes through the window. It looks like a grenade or an eye and starts bouncing. And there at the door is a guy with a gun in his hand, saying he found our boy. Now we're in trouble, my brother. That guy has a nice psychopathic look. What will our boy do now? The guy keeps saying he's the same person he saw at the music store, right? Surprise, loser. He had a hard time keeping up, but he managed. The guy points the gun at our boy, while our boy asks him to lower the gun and chill out. But the guy tells him to shut his mouth or he's going to die. He better take off his bracelet and inventory before he turns his head into a meatball. Oh no, this guy was pretending to be friendly just to rob him. The guy keeps insistently telling him to get his things off or he'll shoot him. But behind him is Kossack, ready to make his new victim. After all, this is basically suicide. This indeed. This work here is very good, quite unpredictable, but the protagonist still has a lot to develop, right? I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to leave a like, man, and comment down below. If this video is good, you know what's coming, right? There will be a follow-up. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next video.